Create an example of an equation that is not a quadratic and explain why it isn't a quadratic function. So one example would be just y is equal to, 3x plus 5, let's say. So what I'm looking for is something that does not have an x to the power of 2, right? No x squared term in there. So if you give me anything but that, you're fine. You could have done y is equal to 3, right? That's a constant function. So this is linear. This is a constant function. And you could have also gone f of x if you wanted to. And let's say you went negative 2x cubed minus 6, 7. That works too, right? So anything so what I would look for in the explanation is not quadratic, because the degree of the function is not 2, okay? So that's basically why we know it's not a quadratic, is the degree. I don't know, do you remember degree? The degree of the function? It's the highest power that we can observe of x, right? So if it's x squared, then the degree is, if you see an x squared, the degree is 2. This one, for example, the degree is 3 because the highest exponent for x is 3. So if it's not 2, then it's not a quadratic. Okay. Explain when you could have a quadratic function that produces a parabola with no x-intercepts. I would say if the curve does not cross the x-axis. Okay, so then you can have a little sketch here. You can just have it like this, for example. I think I would be fine with that, specifically, right, if the vertex is above the x-axis and it opens up. A is positive, right? The A value is positive. That would be acceptable as well. So something like that would indicate you understand what's happening. Okay. Right, let's do the quadratic formula on the back. So 2 marks so far. I will solve using the quadratic formula, and to be honest, I didn't give you a whole lot of space. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to show you. I like when it's like this, there's no multiplication happening, there are no brackets, anything like that. I would just bring over all of these terms to the other side, everything to the left. Okay, so basically the negative 3x squared is already there. I will put it right next to the 25x squared, but it is minus 25x squared. Next I have the 74x, which is adding. I bring this 83x over. It is negative on the right side. It comes over adding. Next, I have the negative 87. It's already on the left side. Nothing changes there. This one comes over adding. And you're left with 0 on the other side. Okay? When you combine them, you get this. Negative 28x squared. The x's combine to 157x. And the constants combine to negative 66 equal to 0. If you have this correct, you get 1 mark already. Okay? Rewriting correctly is a mark. And then now substituting and solving is going to give you another mark. Okay, for each step. So x is equal to, this is b. So it's negative whatever b is, plus or minus, square root. Make sure it's a long square root, right? B squared minus 4 times A times C. Okay? All of that divided by 2 times A, which A is negative 28. Okay? Yeah. if you brought everything to the right, then I should observe that all the signs are opposite of what I have, and then you're fine. Like, you're going to get the same final answer as me. Yeah. Yeah, that is a good point. You either bring everything over to the right or to the left. It's up to you. Yeah, you're going to get the same answer. If you substitute it correctly, I will give you a mark for that. Like, if all the values, so let's say you made a mistake in the first part and the rewriting part, you lose a mark. You go -1. And then if I see you substituting correctly, you get a mark for that. And then you're going to get half a mark for each of the answers. So it's a little tight here. I apologize for that, but I go x is equal to -157. I'm going to go plus whatever the root is at that point. So I'm going to type this in. Omit the root right away. Just type in the discriminant, whatever is under the root there. So watch what I'm going to do here. And brackets are your friend, right? So I type it in exactly the way I see it. And it is a big number, but we don't have to be afraid of that. Okay, and then the denominator is -56. And here's going to be your first answer. So I'm going to go -157 plus root of 257, sorry. You can go copy paste as well if you want. So I add that first, and then I divide by -56, sorry. So that is 0.46 is the first one. So you get half a mark for that. Obviously, if you made a mistake way at the beginning, you would get a different answer. I would follow through. Today you're the teacher. If you think you did everything right and you double checked, you get the mark for that step. The second answer is -157 minus, instead of plus, you go minus 17,257 divided by -56. And here's a little cheat. You go up to where you went plus, you copy paste that. You replace the plus with a minus. You get that. You divide that by -56. You get 5.15. You get a half mark for that. Okay, so you get a mark for rewriting, a mark for substituting, half and half for your answers. Okay? So, 3 marks for this question. So somewhere give yourselves a mark for this one out of 3. And then we do the word problem. Yes? What to do? We'll do that once I'm done. Okay? So just hold on to it. Thank you. I'll come and see you. Okay, so here we have the word problem. So obviously I should have done this beforehand, but I'm going to go type that in. Okay, I'm going to already make y2 equal to 0 because I have a feeling that I'm going to have to find the x-intercept. So I'm going to hit graph. Not a good graph. I'm going to try zoom 6. Zoom 6 actually does a pretty good job. I'm just going to increase my y max here. Let's say what, 25? Nope. Let's go 50. Still not. What is it? Okay, 70. 67, that's right, that's right. I should have thought of that. There we go. So this is good. I see everything I need to see. Sketch the above scenario. Obviously, for sketching purposes, please use a ruler, right? If I don't give you a grid. But we would have time, and time is in seconds, and this is height in feet. Get that out of the way, and also put the equation somewhere, and then you're done with, you don't have to worry about labels. Okay, so you've got that. In terms of my points, I want to find the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and the vertex. I'm going to find that, okay? So today I'm going to spare you the details, but the vertex is 1.12, 5317. The x-intercept, the one I care about, this one is 4.420. And the y-intercept, do I need my calculator for the y-intercept? Not really, because it's in general form. It is 0.47. Okay, 0.47 is my y-intercept. So if I go by tenths, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, okay. And over here, if I go by ones, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that is good enough. 4.42, this is 5, right? 4.5 is right there. 4.42 is just over to the left. 47, this is 50. This is 45. 47 is right about there. Vertex, 1.12. 53 is right about there. And here you go. You got your graph. So again, as always, I'm going to look for a scale. So 1 mark for scale, 1 mark for labels, and 1 mark for shape. Okay, that's in general how many marks I will be giving you. Shape meaning the points are where they're supposed to be. Okay, if they're way off, then you're going to lose half a mark to a mark. And please omit this part. Some of you are doing this part or this. This is outside of our domain and range, meaning if you go anything beyond, like to the left of the y-axis, you're going negative time, which we don't allow, right? It's not to be included here. Maybe at some point in the future, maybe in 2200, we will be able to go back in time, right? And this one is also outside because we're not considering this going underwater. Is this cliff jumping? Yeah, so you would. So technically, yes, you do, but unless I tell you otherwise, we're assuming we're stopping right there. So try to avoid these ones. So I don't want the x-intercept over here either. We don't consider that, okay? For today, I would say take off half a mark if you did that. But on the province, for the province, you would lose a full mark there, unfortunately, okay? Because you're going outside the domain and range. What's the maximum height? I already figured it out. It's 53.17, and I went second trace max. Okay, so if you show me the keystrokes, and make sure you have a number with units, you're fine. I would encourage you to always write down the coordinates, but I already did that, right? When I did my graph, I already did that. How long does it take for it to reach the water? So that's obviously this point right here, the x-intercept. So that'd be y2 is equal to 0, second trace, intersect. And so that's 4.42 seconds. That's a long jump. Almost 5 seconds. Think about it. Count while you're up in the air. Anyways, how long does it take for it to reach a height of 0.5 feet? Here, you have to consider the 0.5 is the height here. This is the 0.5 foot line. So you want to make y2 equal to 0.5, and then you go second trace, intersect. Sorry about the chicken scratch there, guys. But that is 4.40 seconds. You're almost touching, you're almost at the water level, right? You're so close. So it makes sense that you hitting the water and almost hitting the water is very close. At 1.45 seconds, how high is she? We're going to go second trace value. X is equal to 1.45. And we get our y value out of that, which is 52.65 feet. Okay, so that's the answer I want there. I'm basically going to give you 1 mark for each of these so far. So B, C, D, E, they are all worth 1 mark. State the domain and range of this situation. For domain, we go from 0 to 4.42. 1 mark for that. For range, we go from 0 all the way to the highest point, which is the vertex, right? The vertex gives me this, is 53.17. So for question 3, okay, let's add it up. We've got 2 marks for F. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we add 3 marks for the graph. That gets us to 9. If you did the quadratic formula on the back side, then we add another 3. That gets us to 12. So for me, this back side is worth 12 marks. Okay? 9 for the word problem, 3 for the quadratic formula. And then the front, we have 2, right? And then the bonus, like some of you want the bonus. Of course, of course, of course. So 12 and 2 is 14. So let's go to the top here and just make this out of 14. So that's what this is out of. And then you add the bonus to your mark later, okay? So here's the bonus. I'm just going to show you what it is. You can add a full mark if you get them all right. Ready? This is not a word problem, so you would get a bonus if you got all of that correct.